Right now, AI-powered content is literally quietly creating millionaires. We're talking about real social media accounts featuring entirely artificial characters that are just raking in millions of views and thousands of dollars. And the craziest part? They're doing it all using 100% free tools. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and deconstruct exactly how this massive viral illusion is actually pulled off. Just listen to this script for a second. The man you become right isn't built in moments of motivation. It's built in the quiet hours. Man, that sounds exactly like a deep, highly produced clip from a massive interview, right? Well, plot twist. That audio and the incredibly realistic visual that went with it was entirely AI generated. So today, we're going to completely reverse engineer how you build engaging viral content just like that from absolute scratch. Here's the thing. When most people try to make AI content, it's kind of basic and honestly pretty obvious. They type in a new prompt every single time, which means the character's face just keeps shape-shifting from shot to shot. Then they slap on this robotic, lifeless voice. But the actual viral standard, the professional workflow that's quietly taking over your feed, it's all about absolute consistency. Same exact face, same exact identity, and that translates to thousands of dollars in revenue. It's a true insider secret that completely separates the amateurs from the accounts that are practically printing money. So, here's our quick roadmap for the explainer today. First, we'll uncover the secret to viral AI. Second, building a character board. Third, staging the podcast studio. Fourth, voice, script, and movement. And finally, the ultimate trick, the multi-angle cinematic secret. All right, let's jump right into part one, the secret to viral AI. 10 minutes. Seriously, what if I told you that 10 minutes is all it takes? In under 10 minutes, using a completely 100% free copy and paste system on literally just one website, you can build a perfectly consistent AI character sitting right inside a viral scene. I know, it sounds a bit like science fiction, but as you're going to see, the workflow is incredibly methodical and surprisingly accessible for anyone. Let's move to and see how this builds into part two, building a character board. So the absolute secret sauce here is something we call a character board. Simply put, this means maintaining the exact same face, style, and core identity across every single image and piece of content you create. And why is this so absolutely crucial? Because when we recognize a face, our brains automatically accept it as real. That visual consistency triggers trust. It builds familiarity. Without a solid character board, you're just throwing out random, disjointed clips that people are going to scroll right past without a second thought. So how exactly do we make this board? Well, it's a super precise workflow that we'll call the Claude to Google Flow pipeline. It's basically a three-step dance. Step one, you find a face or an aesthetic you love, maybe a cool photo on Pinterest, and you just download it. Step two, you upload that image over to the AI assistant, Claude. Claude acts like a detective here. It extracts the precise visual identity. We're talking face shape, hair, mood, lighting, the outfit, even those tiny micro details most people completely miss. And finally, step three. You take that incredibly detailed prompt Claude just handed to you, paste it right into Google Flow, using a model like Nano Banana 2, and hit generate. Boom! You've suddenly got a completely consistent, repeatable character ready to go. Which brings us perfectly to part three, staging the podcast studio. So the crucial point is this. If the environment looks fake, the whole illusion instantly falls apart. The vibe is totally ruined. A believable, rich atmosphere is what actually anchors this entire character in reality. To pull this off, you upload your shiny new character reference image right into Google Flow and use a very specific studio prompt. You're aiming for professional lighting, a nice, shallow depth of field, maybe some high-end microphones in the shot. The whole goal is to make it look completely indistinguishable from those top-tier professional sets you see trending all over YouTube every single day. All right, now for the really wild stuff. Part 4. Voice, script, and movement. Honestly, this is the most fascinating layer of the whole process. To make this static character actually talk convincingly, we have to start with layer 1, voice style. You absolutely cannot just grab a random default AI voice and slap it onto a great image. If the voice doesn't perfectly match the character's face, their age, their vibe, the viewer's brain is going to instantly throw up a red flag. So what do? You go right back to Claude, upload your character's image, and literally ask the AI to analyze those physical traits to generate a perfectly customized matching voice profile. Next up is layer 2, the written sentence. You show Claude the image of your character chilling in their new studio, and you ask for a topic that matches their specific niche. But here's the massive catch. The sentence Claude writes absolutely cannot sound like a machine wrote it. It has to be natural, casual, maybe even a little imperfect. It needs to perfectly mimic the spontaneous, off-the-cuff delivery of a real human host. And finally, layer 3, movement instructions. Look, we don't just want a moving mouth stuck on a frozen, lifeless head. We need this character to feel like they're actually breathing. The trick here is feeding the AI specific text instructions for small, highly believable gestures. We're completely avoiding those big, exaggerated, robotic arm flails. Think about it for a second. A real person speaking naturally might just shift their weight slightly, maybe do a subtle hand gesture, or just nod as they emphasize a point. We literally have to program those human micromovements.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you bring it all together. By combining the voice style, the script, and those subtle movement instructions into one single massive mega prompt, pure magic happens. This right here is exactly what separates a cheap, basic AI talking head from a clip that genuinely feels like it was filmed yesterday in a high-end Los Angeles studio. You're giving the generation engine a complete, holistic set of behavioral instructions.
To actually execute this, we just bounce back over to Google Flow. Step 1, upload that gorgeous studio image and paste in your mega prompt. Step 2, change your settings to video and make sure you specifically choose a 9:16 vertical aspect ratio. Why? Because that's the exact format optimized for viral social media content like TikTok or Reels. Step 3, simply select the VO 3.1 fast model, hit generate, and let it do its thing. When you nail this, you get results like this incredible second example from our source material. Girl, if he can't handle you setting a boundary, he was never going to handle you at your best. Wow, the incredibly tailored voice matching perfectly with those subtle, natural micro-movements, it makes the emotional delivery just flawlessly convincing. It doesn't feel like lines of code processing on a server. It feels like an authentic human being expressing a genuinely deep thought. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it takes things from good to undeniable. Welcome to part 5, the multi-angle cinematic secret. Here's your ultimate pro tip. Think about your absolute favorite shows for a second. Real high-end productions never, ever use just one single static camera angle for an entire hour. If you just have one unblinking shot locked off forever, the viewer's brain eventually catches on that something is off, something synthetic. But adding multiple camera angles, that makes the entire thing cinematic, legit, and completely believable. It totally replicates the chaotic, real environment of a true multi-camera production. And creating this cinematic edit sequence is stunningly, ridiculously easy with this workflow. You basically just map out a multi-shot sequence. So maybe at 0 seconds, you start with a wide shot. Then at 3 seconds, you punch into a profile shot. At 6 seconds, you cut to an over-the-shoulder shot. And here's the absolute best part. You don't even have to rewrite those massive mega prompts. You literally just change the name of the camera angle inside Claude, and it hands you back a brand new, perfectly formatted prompt for Google Flow. You generate the different shots, splice them together in your editor, and boom, the illusion is flawless. So I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Could you honestly tell the difference between a real, human-made show and an AI-generated one anymore? With entirely free tools allowing basically anyone to build these complex, multi-angled, deeply emotional scenes in literally under 10 minutes, the lines of reality are blurring at an absolutely unprecedented speed. So the next time you're scrolling through your feed and a deeply emotional clip really catches your attention, take a much closer look. You might just be watching an absolute masterpiece of copy and paste engineering.